This podcast includes graphic depictions of true crime cases and may contain explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. Hey, this is Robin.
This is Jackie.
And this is Amanda.
And you are listening to We Saw the Devil, a podcast dedicated to horror, true crime, and all things macabre. If you want to follow us between shows, don't forget to check us out online. You can go to our website at www.wesawthedevil.com. You can follow us on Instagram at We Saw the Devil Podcast or on Twitter at We Saw the Devil. And if you want to follow specific co-hosts' social media, you can find the links to those on our website as well. Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of our Melanie Gibb, Nate Eaton, East Idaho News interview. It's a doozy.
All 3 parts were. It was a roller coaster the entire time.
Yeah, it really was. And part 3, I think, was especially heinous.
Part 3, I was just angry, yeah. I think, most of the time, listening, watching.
So, yeah, before we get into it, let's go over a few housekeeping items. You can find us at wesawthedevil.com. You can find us on Facebook at We Saw the Devil, Twitter at We Saw the Devil, Instagram at We Saw the Devil Podcast. And as always, if you have questions, concerns, comments, complaints, you can email us at wesawthedevil@gmail.com.
Yep, and thank you again to our patrons on Patreon. We love you guys, and we really enjoy our conversations on Facebook. And also, yeah, I have fun writing you guys your teasers in the postcards and that sort of thing. So if you'd like to join our Patreon, it's patreon.com/wesawthedevil. And we have a bunch of different tiers with a lot of different goodies. So check it out, see if you like anything.
Indeed. Now, let's get into part 3. There was also very interesting information last night that came from Justin Lom. And actually, my mind was blown, to be perfectly honest. This was the most excited I've been since I can't even remember.
Yeah, it was a motion to quash deposition subpoena.
So just to make sure that I understood what had been posted, I posted it in the Lori Vallow subreddit. And an attorney actually replied. And so more or less, the Gilbert City attorney has asked the judge to tell Melanie that she cannot take a deposition of the detective in Brandon's shooting case because there's an ongoing investigation. This is a very, very, very common document, the motion to quash, and the judge will likely grant it as well. So criminal investigations, especially serious ones, take precedence over civil cases like family custody divorce cases. So because Detective Pilar is involved in the investigation into Brandon and the shooting there, right? Melanie can't take the deposition from him. So criminal trumps custody and more domestic type of cases. And it's really interesting because there are some additional details in here that make you raise an eyebrow. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
The interesting part I found was on the second page, it says, as of this writing, the combined investigations span over a 2-year time frame and comprise 8 law enforcement agencies in 4 states. The investigation includes 1 homicide, 2 attempted homicides, 3 suspicious deaths, and 2 missing/endangered juveniles. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was interesting that they are going back to, 2 years ago. And what exactly are they looking at 2 years ago?
Good question. Because this has taken us all the way back, less than 2 years ago Charles's death and all of that. So this is predating any of the crimes that we are aware of and discussing in the Vallow case.
Right. Someone mentioned, if you guys look at Justin Lum's live video from last night, and again, today's the 28th, but he had a live video from his car and he actually addresses why he's in his car, and it's because of the virus, and that's kind of where he has to work on some things. And he was waiting to do another newscast, I believe. But he said, someone asked, is it about Joseph Ryan, who died in 2018? Maybe him. And he mentions Phoenix police told him, or his team possibly, that Joseph Ryan's case is closed. There's nothing going on there, and people are just inquiring about it. But there is another article, Robin, that you found at the beginning of May that says otherwise.
It's an article from Oxygen. Now, Oxygen has become a true crime powerhouse, right? Like everything they do now is vastly true crime. But there is an article from May 7th that states that law enforcement is in fact investigating Joseph Ryan's death. Taking it to this document, as Amanda already mentioned, that there are 8 police jurisdictions. Kauai Police Department. We're just going to number them off. Kauai Police Department, Rexburg Police Department, Chandler Police Department, Gilbert Police Department, FBI. That's 5. Most likely the additional 3, I would say, are Utah, Wyoming, and again, if they have reopened Joseph Ryan's death, that would be Texas. And that would bring it to the number 8.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. I don't know. I'm just saying, yeah, Justin Lem seems to not think so, but maybe there's things happening behind the scenes that they're not talking about. I don't know. Now let's talk about the list. So the 1 homicide, 2 attempted homicides, 3 suspicious deaths, and obviously we know the missing kids are JJ and Tylee. So the 1 homicide I'm guessing is Charles Vallow. The 2 attempted homicides, I'm thinking Brandon, and then maybe they're talking about Tammy's. You know, she claims it was just a paintball gun, but I truly don't think it was just a paintball gun. And remember, she died, 10 days after that? And then the 3 suspicious deaths. So Tammy Daybell, Alex Cox, and then are they saying Charles is the suspicious death?
To be honest with you, because they brought it out to the 2-year time frame, and because of just the number of states involved, I am going to go ahead and make my prediction that Joseph Ryan's death is being investigated by the FBI. I'm going to say that. I have, again, speculation. There's no evidence to this other than an Oxygen document from a couple weeks ago. I'm thinking, personally, the homicide is Charles. I think the 2 attempted homicides are Brandon and Tammy. I think the 3 suspicious deaths are Tammy, Alex, and possibly Joe Ryan.
I mean, that would make more sense because I feel like Charles would be under the 1 homicide. I wouldn't call his as suspicious. I mean, it's up in the air whether it truly was self-defense or not, but I don't know if that falls into the realm of suspicious.
But could Alex be ruled suspicious if it was ruled that he died naturally, even though his death is still being investigated?
I don't know. I wish they would have written down what they were
Give
talking
us the
about.
names, guys.
And then one interesting thing, just going off of Justin Lem's live feed and his car feed, he talked about that Hawaii doesn't provide marriage certificates as public record, and that's part of why we haven't seen a marriage certificate for Lori and Chad, and that only an immediate family member can request that record, and obviously no one's been able to do that yet. Right. So I wonder if they're actually married.
I don't know.
And that's why he said, too, that he still calls her Vallow, because he hasn't seen proof of, I guess, a name change. And then also they were talking about how, not in this scenario, but before, Alex, remember how he wanted to go off of Zalema's last name? And it's just weird to me that all these people just quickly change their name when, changing your name is kind of hard. You have to go to multiple places and do multiple things to change your name. It's not just you marry someone and it's different. So just wanted to put that out there too. It's not fun.
No, it is not.
All right. So let's get into these interviews then.
Alrighty. So part 3. So I have a lot of thoughts on part 3, but Amanda, do you want to give your first impression?
Well, I was kind of angry after part 2. And so I kind of went into it already a little frustrated and probably not fair. On this one, I actually listened to it first in the car and then came home and listened to it again. So I've listened to this one twice. And just the way she ends it made me so very angry.
Me too. I again, as I stated earlier, I wanted to slam down my headphones.
And this is the part. Yeah. I was very upset. In the car, I actually had to go back a little bit. I'm like, no, she didn't just say that.
I was the equivalent of an angry old woman shaking her fist at the sky, except the sky is Melanie.
Understandable. So this one, she just gives us more information on things that have happened. And then this one was just how sympathetic she is towards them. So
I have a lot of thoughts on this one, so I will briefly go over mine. So in part 3, there are some bombshells, I would say. Even though a lot of people are saying that she just confirmed what we already knew, there are some pieces here that we were not privy to before. As as I've stated before, one of my guiltiest pleasures, right, is the show Escaping Polygamy. And I've watched a lot of documentaries on it as well. And Melanie in part 3 reminded of someone who left, say, like the FLDS, Warren Jeffs, or the Kingston clan. She still recognizes that she was in the wrong, that it's not true, but she's still really confused. And then she has just this eerie amount of love and concern for Chad, Lori, and everyone involved.
Yes. Yeah, it was very, I feel like it's not appropriate in a sense, right? Like, it's not appropriate if you truly think, she ended the last one with the death of her family. I don't think I could be that person. Maybe she's a bigger person than I, but I cannot say that I could have this much love and affection towards someone that I believed killed her family.
No, exactly. But again, people who have been in groups like this, cults, religious cults, whatever, she has identically the same behavior as the woman who left those particular sects, like to a T. So I think that she was really easily groomed by Chad. I feel like Melanie is one of those people, and I think we've all met one at one point in our lives, that's just constantly wanting to know, they need something. They need something to hold on to. They need some sort of guidance, spiritual guidance. And I feel like Melanie is one of those people. I don't know if she had a rough childhood or a bad early life. Like, I don't know, but I feel like she's just one of those people that just needs someone telling her that everything is going to be okay and that there's a spiritual plan for her life. So I think that that allowed her to be easily groomed by Chad. That being said, though, as you stated, we've both stated that this made us so angry. I don't give a flying flip that Lori is sad that she can't be with Chad or that she can't be pretty anymore. Like, I don't give a damn.
No, not at all.
And I feel like Melanie didn't, and we'll get into that as well. Actually, here I will momentarily. So Lori's children were probably murdered, and I don't feel like Melanie showed the appropriate amount of empathy for that or upset. Right. Discussing, because all of these people were members of the LDS church, and we've discussed the LDS church multiple times on the show as far as the difference of beliefs, right? And how Chad and Lori are kind of out there and took a lot of core concepts and just ran with it, right? But there is a piece in the Mormon faith, the LDS faith and the Mormon church. I've been speaking a lot with Mormons, and I've been speaking a lot with members of the Mormon community, and they've actually taught me, and Ian came on the show and then others as well. And the Mormon church does actually accept visionaries, right? The Mormon church has a lot of visionaries. You have the prophet, the first and second counselors, the quorum of the 70, the 12 apostles. So the Mormon faith has a lot of visionaries as a whole. So Melanie Gibb as a whole was already primed into accepting that someone had the gift of vision. Multiple people that I've spoken to said, yeah, the bishops in our ward, they have, visions and so forth and have revelations. Some people do, some people don't. I also feel that in the Mormon faith, women in the church are used to deferring their spirituality to men and allowing them to kind of lead. So I do feel, after speaking with multiple people, being in multiple forums of both current and ex-Mormons, I do feel that some of this primes Melanie in particular to kind of blindly be led by Chad. I also feel too, if you think about it from a spiritual point, right? And this doesn't matter what religion you're part of. When you die, right? What's the first thing that someone usually says? Oh, they're in a better place now. So, right. To someone who's fanatical in their faith, like Melanie was, why would she be sad if the kids are actually, according to her, in a better place? Whereas a lot of us are looking from the outside in, being like, why the hell isn't she showing empathy? Why isn't she sad? Why doesn't she seem concerned? That's likely because she truly does believe that the kids are actually in a better place now. Like, it may have sucked how they got there, but, according to some of this, Melanie's likely being like, well, the kids are, happy and wonderful now. And she actually kind of refers to this in this episode at the end when, all Lori needs to do is repent and she'll be with her kids again and all will be great. So I don't know. It is an absolute crazy mess. But And I don't want anyone to think that I'm attacking Mormonism or the LDS Church or anything like that. I'm really, truly not. And again, Melanie Gibb and Chad and Lori were all fanatics that, took core beliefs and ran with it. I'm just going off and reading things that some of my Mormon friends and others are bringing up as possibilities or things that help create the situation that Melanie found herself in dealing with Lori and Chad, and how it escalated so quickly. So again, I love all of you. I'm not, trying to bully or speak ill of the church. Not my intention at all. I'm just pointing out different possibilities here.
Right. But then she also says that she's concerned for the people that have died, and she almost feels bad about it too.
Yeah.
At least in the second one.
Yeah. As far as, being murdered kind of sucks, but.
Well, yeah. So I don't know what side of the fence I'm on now. As far as the pro Melanie or against Melanie, I keep I'm standing on it. I don't really know how I feel about her after these.
Okay, so part 1, I was like, oh, Melanie is sweet. She's trying. By part 3, I'm like, hell no. She's lying. She's not being forthright. And I believe that she was far more involved than she says that she was.
Well, oh, no. I agree with that. I just mean, I don't know if I really care for her.
Oh, I don't at all.
As far as...
Not anymore.
Yeah, how, yeah, the first one, I'm she's brave and, great. And I do still think that she's pretty brave. And, I commend her for getting out of this, or at least pretending to get out of this. I don't know. That's why I'm, on the fence is, I don't know if she really still believes all of this.
I think she does.
And she's just trying to save her
I
name.
absolutely think she does believe all of this, because we're not one to, sit on rumors and whatnot or propagate rumors, but her boyfriend, his name is David Warwick. He also has a podcast, and he is also obsessed with visions, end times, earthquake is coming, X, Y, and Z. He's a prepper.
Does he know Chad?
I don't know. I do not know. I haven't gone down that rabbit hole. I did a little bit of research on him as far as his beliefs, and Melanie's now newest boyfriend is into the same shit. So Melanie apparently has not learned her lesson on this yet.
That's really sad.
My biggest surprise, we kind of touched on it in part 2, but ultimately my final thought on this is that my biggest surprise is hearing about the power dynamic between Lori and Chad, and Melanie basically making it out to seem like it was all Chad.
Right. Well, I feel like she's trying to save her friend there.
Same.
And that's why I'm no. They're equally in this. As far as at least the stories that we've heard from it, they're equal in my sense. He could have been the one that maybe brainwashed her to start with.
Well, everything came from Chad. Everything supposedly came from Chad, and Chad would tell Lori, and then Lori would go disseminate it amongst the rest of the group. So
I still just can't believe a mother, though. A mother letting that happen to her kid under any circumstance.
Oh, I can. So
no, it's horrible.
Let's get into the interview. So Nate starts out, and he asks Melanie, the very first question is, how did you find out that Tammy died? And she said that a friend texted her that Tammy had passed away. And Melanie said, and I found this was telling, she, quote, didn't know how they did it, but knew it was part of their plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the plan that she was supposed to pass away.
How convenient.
Right. There is no plan that you're never supposed to pass away at a time. Obviously it's going to happen at some point, but you can't predict that or say this person will die in a car crash on this day. No, you don't know that.
It's true. Nate then asked Melanie if she was surprised that they went to Hawaii. Chad always said that Tammy would be fine with it because Tammy knew that she had to fulfill her mission by dying and moving to the other side.
Right, and I took that as she had a mission on the other side. She wouldn't be happy about dying now, but once she got there, she had some sort of mission to complete.
Yeah, that's how I took it. And I don't think that she really would have appreciated dying that early, but
no, she had kids and grandkids. And
so Melanie then says that she had to call Chad's phone because none of Lori's phones were working. So this is after Lori had moved to Rexburg. So I guess she no longer needed those burner phones, huh?
Right. And she remarked how Chad still sounded nervous and Lori was just fine. Everything's great. Everything's normal.
And another piece of interesting information here. So at this point, right, Lori was still using Tylee's phone. Remember that it came out that Lori was using Tylee's phone? And she was pretending to be Tylee for some time after that last confirmed sighting in the beginning of September. So
right, like her birthday to Summer.
exactly,
even.
and to Colby, the whole bit. So it's believed that Lori sent a message to Tylee's friends who were trying to contact her, as well as texting Colby. So it might not be completely clear based on the phone data when Tylee went missing if Lori continued to use her phone. So it's very clear, right, that Lori was actually using Tylee's phone during this time.
That's interesting. And that wasn't in the interview. That's just
my additional, that's just my additional facts here. Like, don't forget, Lori had all of these burner phones, and that also at the same time she was using Tylee's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, remember, Tylee couldn't take her phone, is what she told her family. Yep. Also, I thought that she had taken Tylee's phone away, or didn't someone say she confiscated it? I want to say it was either Summer or Janice had said that she had confiscated it because she didn't want it to be tracked. Yet she was texting people from her phone, or possibly even calling.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it doesn't for some reason.
So Melanie then apparently asked Lori why she hasn't told her where the kids are yet. So they had a phone call. And Lori said, for your safety, we can't tell you. And neither Chad nor Lori would tell Melanie where the kids were. Lori did finally admit, though, that she in fact lied about the children. And Melanie claims that she called Chad and Lori evil. And Nate asked her, how did they respond to that? And she was like, they didn't like it.
Oh, no, they don't like being evil. And she does say that this was the last time she spoke with them.
Yep, that is true.
So, like, is it right here that she finally was like, I don't want to be part of this now that she said that she did lie about the kids, which everything had already happened?
Yeah, it was pretty clear way before that she had lied about the kids.
Right. And is she being truthful here? Was my question too. Was this truly the last time they talked, or do you think that they've continued to talk?
I don't know, but law enforcement probably does.
Maybe. And then, I mean, I know she can't talk or make calls to the jail without people knowing.
I would also like to state for the record, though, that Chad was deep into a vow. Like, he was on the paid side of a vow. Like, with Christopher Perrette, he was deep in there where you can communicate. Melanie, as well as Melanie's new boyfriend, but again, specifically Melanie, was also in a vow. Also in those big paid forums. I wonder... This is, I mean, again, no evidence of this. I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility. I wonder if people started communicating via a vow or back channels so they wouldn't.
Their stuff was very weird. I will say, when I was in Rexburg is when I found some posts and some people shared with me certain things that were in a vow. And their posts were very strange.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's something more to them communicating. So Melanie says that that's when she decided to go talk to the police. Not before, not the zombies, nothing else. Just that's when she just randomly decided. And here's the interesting part, too. So Melanie found out that Alex died when her bishop called her and asked why there were cop cars around Zulima's house. He apparently called Melanie back after checking in on it and then told her that Alex had died.
So this is strange to me. Is that common for a bishop to call a random person that's not part of that family, technically, to ask? Like, I guess maybe he knew her and Lori were good friends, and Lori is connected to Alex and just chalked it up to that. But I just thought that just seemed very strange to me, because it seems like it's gossipy.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't seem like... Yeah, it just seems gossipy. I don't know. It struck me the wrong way, regardless.
Right. That's what I mean. It just seemed very strange. I don't know. I mean, and it could just be, he knew that they were connected in a sense, and maybe she knew more, but it also comes up as gossipy.
So Nate brings up and says this was the day after Tammy's body was exhumed. And Melanie says she first wondered if he had killed himself, because Alex did in fact know that Melanie was planning to go to the police, and she flat out openly wonders if he committed suicide out of guilt.
Right. And then do you think that he reached out to Lori and said, hey, Melanie is going to the cops, and maybe that's why they stopped speaking?
That's probable. I feel like, and then she states it too, as far as Alex's relationship with, later on in this particular part 3, she states that Alex had that protective big brother mentality over Lori. So I wouldn't put it past, to be honest, if Alex called Lori and was like, hey.
Right. She's going to police. She's going to say everything. And then that gave them more time to prepare for it.
Exactly. But secondarily, Melanie also poses and wonders if someone could have killed him.
Right.
So Melanie is apparently on the fence of that as well. Nate then brings up, because Melanie's multiple times during all of these segments, Melanie said, I don't watch the news. I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news.
Yeah.
And Nate's like, so in January, did you see the video of me trying to talk to them outside the resort in Hawaii? And Melanie's like, I did see that. And it was really, really hard to see. And she says that when she saw it, she thought, well, that doesn't look too good for Lori.
Right. And yeah, just the way that she said, it made her look guilty. And if you really believe your children are being harmed or they're going to be kidnapped, you would be happy to tell everyone. You would tell police about it. And that would show, like, I care about them. I'm not saying where they are, right? Like, my interpretation of this was, I care about my kids. I'm not telling you where they are, but they're safe, and we're just keeping them away from the bad people. And that probably would have gone a whole different way, and it would have been welcomed in a sense. But we all know, according to story, though, that Lori doesn't trust the system.
Yep, exactly. And I have to say that Melanie Gibb tied that segment up by saying use logic, and I almost laughed myself out of the chair, considering like everything that she's heard, done, said, been involved with. And then she's like, just use logic, okay?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then Nate finally says, he asks Melanie, where do you think the kids are? And this hurt my soul, like hearing her say it.
She said, they're not on this planet anymore. I don't think they are. That's my personal opinion. Tylee is a strong-willed individual, and she's capable of making a phone call if she needs to call. I can't imagine she would be quiet the whole time. I can't imagine it. JJ is a handful, and he wouldn't have his medication with him. How could she take care of him? It doesn't add up.
Right. And then she also mentioned how was Lori in Hawaii having a great honeymoon, while her kids were in hiding for safety. That doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
Because if you were worried about your kids, you wouldn't be vacationing, and you would make sure you weren't very far from them, I would think. So that's sad, because the way she said it, they're not on this planet anymore. And then she followed up with, I don't think they are. That's my personal opinion. And I'm like, more.
Yeah. And multiple times she's lumped them into Charles's boat, right? Of no longer with us, the people who have died. I feel like Melanie knows more than she lets on. But Nate then asks her if she thinks Alex is responsible for it. And Melanie says that she literally says the words, it's possible. And she goes on to express how devout Alex was, how religious Alex was, and said that she believes it's possible, especially if he truly believed the things that he had, learned from Chad and whatnot, and thought that he was doing it all for God.
Right. And then Nate mentions Melanie, Pulowski, Summer, Janice, all of them, and how they believe Lori has a plan. And she says, I think they want to believe Lori, and they want to be supportive of her. I'm not sure of the reasons. Sometimes you just know stuff, and it can be embarrassing to come forward. You may get in trouble yourself. And I'm like, what are you saying? So are you saying that all of them also know additional details that they're not being forthright with, or what? So Nate asked if Melanie thinks they know stuff, and she pretty much said they may know some things, but she doesn't know what, who knows what or anything about it. She's not sure. I do think, at least Melanie with an I think she knows all of it. I think Janice and Summer know something's up, but they're trying to basically save the family, is my guess.
I concur.
I think Summer is a little more creepy, though, than Janice. Like Summer, I feel like, is Lori with brown hair. The way that she speaks in certain senses, I get a weird vibe from
agreed.
her. Janice, I think that she just is trying to keep everyone together, possibly. I don't know how much she knows, but I do think Summer knows a lot more, and maybe Janice is being a little truthful of the stuff she knows. That's my guess.
So Nate asks Melanie if talking about all of this is painful or embarrassing or relieving. And Melanie immediately says, well, I don't know if it's relieving. It's hard to talk about people that I'm associated with. She does state that she was worried about what they were going to say about her in the media. And that's actually why she initially started to watch the news.
I thought that was really weird, the way she said that. What are they going to say about me? And I wonder, is there something that they can say about her that would be
incriminating?
Bad? Or, like, did she do something regrettable? Did she, or is it that she's embarrassed to be associated with these crazy people? I don't know. But I'm wondering if there's something else that she did or a conversation that she was part of that led to a lot of this that she's leaving out, and she's worried that it's going to come through.
I'm going to go ahead and say that is probably it. I don't think it's just that she's embarrassed to talk about crazy beliefs because, the last minute of this interview exists.
Earlier, didn't she say something about, and other people can get in trouble or something along those lines? I think she's referring to herself. Earlier, when they were talking about how they believe Lori has a plan, and she said, you may get in trouble yourself. I think, she knows that there's something in there where she could potentially be in trouble for something that she was part of. And that's a very scary thing. And again, that's just speculation.
Again, I do believe that Melanie, since she's been so forthright with the FBI and the police, supposedly, I do believe that they're probably going to grant her immunity because she likely wasn't responsible for directly the deaths of the children. So I bet that's something that she probably has told law enforcement, but isn't telling the general population. That's just my own guess and speculation.
No, I think that's a safe guess.
So Nate then asked if Lori and Chad betrayed her, and she says, oh, yeah. And she says they also betrayed, quote, those who are no longer with us. And it's not a really good indication that those in her circle are safe. You do the math, right? That's like a dun, dun, dun.
Right, yeah.
Nate asks if she could be considered a zombie now, and she says, yes, it's possible now. But she isn't scared.
Interesting. What if they do their portal prayer?
What about their portal prayer? If, is she going to drop dead? Who knows?
Oh, man. I don't even know. Maybe I'd start believing in portals if she, dropped dead during it.
I'd be, opening up my closet, cleaning it out, and putting my box down.
It's not a box, remember.
Is a box.
It's just something you sit beside and
in my mind, it's a box, Amanda. My portal's a box.
Don't make fun of the portals.
So Nate then asks her about Brandon Boudreaux, and she says that she met Brandon once. And Alex and Melanie asked her to see if Brandon... Okay, and so this ties in to Brandon getting shot at.
Yes.
Alex and Melanie, that's Melanie with an I, asked her to go see if Brandon was home with the children. And now, don't forget, Melanie and Brandon had divorced, and they were beginning their nasty custody dispute. Melanie Gibb went there to Brandon's house, and no one was home. And she talked to a neighbor and said that they had moved out about 2 weeks before. And the neighbor said that he was glad that they moved because someone tried to shoot at Brandon.
What was she doing then? Was she looking through windows and looking kind of weird, looking for him? Because I feel like a neighbor just walking up and saying, who are you looking for? It just seems weird, especially if your neighbor just got shot at. Wouldn't you not want to say anything? I would have watched my mouth quite a bit.
Or was he outside and Melanie approached him? We don't know exactly how that went down, but regardless, that's weird as hell. Again, Melanie Gibb, that should have set off some sort of, what is going on?
Well, she repeated because she was worried about her children, didn't she? So this shows that she cares about the welfare of children, right? Or she's trying to, come off that way. But then she went back and told Alex about it. And Alex is like, oh, yeah, I did hear that. I think someone shot at him to make it look like it was us.
Bro, you could not be any more obvious.
Exactly. It's don't look over there. Don't look over there. It's so stupid.
So Melanie Gibb did, in fact, say it's possible the shooter was Alex based on what she's heard. What did she hear? What has she heard? Has she heard anything additional?
I think she means for how much he tried to protect the girls, Lori and Melanie possibly, because we all know that he was all for Lori. Melanie, though, remember, states that they didn't have the greatest relationship until recently. So was he doing stuff for her too? Or it's very, very strange. And I can't wait till more of that stuff comes up too. And I'm very glad that they missed, so there was someone else to be able to be present for all of this and no other kids go missing.
It's all a huge mess.
Well, then Nate finally asked the question we've all been thinking of. So is the world ending July 22nd, 2020? And she says, no, the world is not going to end. And she talks about the belief system is that Lori believed there is going to be a huge earthquake in Utah by the end of 2019. And that was partially why she did all of this, because she thought people wouldn't recognize anything in her personal life that was going on. Like Chad and her getting married, like the kids missing, just all of that. So she felt confident thinking that no one would notice, right? So that's why Melanie feels like she kind of got sloppy.
And that's a direct quote. She said that that's why she feels like they did it all so sloppily. And I'm like, what?
Why then, if she thought this earthquake that came was going to just put something over all of her craziness, right? Why didn't she wait for the earthquake then?
Good question.
Like, why didn't she wait for all of that to happen before marrying the guy that the wife just died? Why did she get rid of her kids so quickly and, in weird fashions and pretend like she had no idea what was happening?
Use your logic, Lori.
Right. I honestly don't think she cared if anyone noticed. I think she said, oh, this will just be like a bonus. This earthquake's going to come and it'll just be way easier, but I don't care. Clearly, she didn't care. And then also, she mentioned something about that she didn't hear about the July date, that she had always heard that it was an August date. And it came from a few different ideas, and that Lori, did her own research, it sounded like. And I was a little confused on what date she was talking about. She said there was a couple things that were going to align, and Lori just picked July. What it reminded me of is that Parks and Rec episode where they want to rent the park for the end of the world, and it's booked, so they move the date. That's what I feel like was happening with Lori. She's like, oh, I think it's going to be this date. Oh, wait, there's an earthquake coming that date. Let's move it over here. So I don't understand any of this.
I don't either. So Melanie then starts talking about how Lori feels now and if she thinks that she's questioning herself. And Melanie says, Chad claims to be the visioner that he was, and I believe he was a visionary. And I do believe that he does have that gift.
He did a number on her.
And in her church, she says, in the Mormon church, in the LDS church, she says that people believe that they can and do have visions. And she said, I would think that if he was such a visionary, that he would have seen this coming.
I think the bigger question is, would he care?
No.
Yeah, no, he got what he wanted. He wanted this girl that fawned over him and believed every word he said, and he got that.
And he also got rid of her children because they were in the way.
And he got rid of, the kids. The teenage girl that probably would have been like, what?
Yep.
Right? The way that they described Tylee, that she was strong-willed, I feel like she would have been like, wait, what is happening now? What is going on? And she was beyond her years, at least the way that she came across in some of those interviews, where she was talking Lori down, and she was talking like an adult and
to the police. It was very much at her age. I don't think I would have even acted like that, to be honest.
Yeah, she was. It sounded like a responsible, very smart young woman. So, yeah, she probably would have been like, "Mom, what is this? What do you mean you're marrying this guy a few weeks? What? His wife just died?
Yeah.
So I think that's why she got rid of her first.
Yep.
And then JJ, maybe she wanted to keep him. And then it was just he was too difficult. And maybe, all of his comfort sources were taken away. Tylee was taken away. Bailey was taken away. Medicine was taken away.
And someone actually brought up a really good point in a Facebook group that I was reading. I forgot which one. I'm sorry. But they said that, a child with autism as severe that he had, Charles was the only father figure that he knew. So, not only that, but you took away his father figure, his dog, his stability, his home, all of it.
Right. And just moving in general.
And his medication and his sister.
Yeah. What did you think was going to happen? Because even, I feel like any child at almost any age, moving from one state, and again, Arizona and Idaho are very, very different. That's a big move. So that's sad. And then, teenage girl getting moved is also very hard because she had a good friend circle out here. So, I think there's a lot of different reasons why they wanted to get rid of the children. I don't think it was because they were zombies.
No, I completely agree. I think that Chad wanted to have this hot blonde new wife diddle and do as much as everything that he wanted to do, and those children stood in his way. And that is honestly what I think the root of all of this is.
Agreed. Luckily, his were grown.
Yes, they're lucky that they were grown. And what I think is so disturbing behind all of this is that his children seemingly are 100% behind him. And it's come out also that Chad's children met Lori after the funeral the same day. Oh, ugh.
That is, that I don't even understand how you bring that up to your kids. Just, oh, your mom died after the funeral. Let's go to my girlfriend's house and eat cookies. What?
Oh my God. Had I been like, say, Emma or one of his children, I would have knocked him on his ass.
Yeah, or after the storage facility video came out where he grabs her butt, clearly in the video. That would have been the time to walk away. You're like, no, you were cheating on mom, and now my mom's dead.
And you immediately married someone else? What? This isn't adding up to me, Dad.
Exactly. And maybe they have had that, and maybe he spouted his nonsense about how the portal told him to do it. I don't know. Maybe they're brainwashed.
We don't know how long Chad had been having these visions or what he had been teaching his children either.
Well, he claims some of them started when he jumped off the cliff when he was a teenager. And that's where the veil opened or lifted or got misplaced. I don't know. But yeah, he jumped off this cliff. He claims that he saw all this crazy stuff, and then it continued from there, I believe.
The next question in the interview is Nate asks Melanie if she's thought about how it's going to be, like how it's going to feel if she's called in to testify in court and then she's sitting there just a couple feet from Lori, having to look her in the eye. And Melanie says that she's thought about that quite a bit and then says that she still has love in her heart for Lori.
Yeah. So when she says this, she says, it'll be hard to see her in her jail outfit and not be able to look as pretty as she'd want to be. She doesn't want to be in there.
What?
Obviously. I don't care that she doesn't get to put on her makeup or curl her hair or, it's turning to soup hair. No. Who thinks of that? If you truly, truly think that she killed her family, how do you care about what she looks like? She also was given choices during this time, right? She chose this. This wasn't anyone else putting her into this. She chose to make those choices of her kids disappearing. She chose to call her brother over when Charles, in my opinion, would have just left because he already had JJ in the car, to my knowledge, and then she took the phone. So how does she have so much love for a person that she believes could kill children?
Because the children are dead. Again, it is part of this. They're in a better place. They're in the celestial kingdom. They're okay. The kids are okay now. So it's not so much that. It's just, Lori still now has a chance to repent. Lori now has a chance to make this okay.
And this is where all my feelings for Melanie, like this part where she was worrying about how pretty she looked in her jail outfit at a hearing or whatever. This is where I was just like, no, Melanie. But yeah, so this part with Melanie is just where I like wash my hands of her and I'm like, nope. I mean, I am still grateful that she came forward. I'm grateful for all this information. And again, I do believe she is brave coming through and speaking about what she was also involved in. But just that she is thinking of something so stupid made me so angry.
Yeah, no, agreed. And, she did say that she's sorrowful for all of those who have, quote, had to pass away, good people.
No one had to pass away.
No one did. And she said if that doctrine was not revealed, then these people would not have died. God veils us from most knowledge before we come to this earth. He doesn't want us to know. So she kind of contradicts herself a little there, I feel. But...
Well, yeah, because she was talking about, I think he has a gift and I think he's still good people and da-da-da-da-da.
Yep.
No. Like, you're saying two different things right there. So then right here is where Nate asks Melanie about Chad and that he thinks that most people think Lori is leading Chad along. And Melanie sees it as that Lori is a puppet and Chad is the hand.
Yes.
I mean, I think I agree with that, though.
Yeah, big time.
But still, get out of it.
She says that they are two people who have a lot of passion and think a lot alike. He comes off as reserved and quiet, but Lori is not. And she says, ultimately, they're both equally bad for one another.
It's true. Why weren't you a friend that said, I think this is wrong at that time?
Nate says that Lori spends a lot of time reading scripture and singing hymns in jail. And Melanie goes down and she doubles down on Lori's knowledge of scriptures. She says, she's like, Lori does love the Lord. She loves scriptures and beautiful things, Hawaii and whatnot. She says that Lori's love for the Lord and gospel of Jesus Christ is at her heart. And this has to be an incredibly painful thing to her, that she has to come to believe that she's gone against what is true. But Melanie follows up by saying that she doesn't know if Lori will ever get to the point where she understands that she actually did wrong.
Yeah, I don't buy that Melanie truly thinks it's wrong anymore.
But then Nate asks Melanie this very question: what should happen to Lori and Chad if they are found guilty? And Melanie pauses for a second and says, whatever the punishment is in our country, jail time, etc. She says that whenever you take someone's life, it's safer for them to be in a place where they can't influence other people.
Yeah, she thinks that what they teach is bad and needs to be hidden away from others to find before more die. But then also she says, whenever you take someone's life, and at this moment, neither of them have taken anyone's lives, right? To our knowledge.
Right.
Set in stone. I think they have, obviously. There's no charges yet that have been filed. So who does she mean? Who does she know that they killed?
I don't know. And this is, again, I feel like she knows more. But again, I just don't feel like she believes they did ultimate wrong. I feel like whatever the punishment is in this country, no. Had I been a friend or, say in Melanie's situation, right, but not bought into the bullshit, I would have been like, they deserve jail time. They deserve jail for the rest of their lives. You can't kill people. And to me, she wasn't that adamant about it. She was like, oh, well, I guess just whatever the punishment is here. It just didn't seem...
she's still obsessed with both of them.
Yeah, exactly. She's still in the deprogramming phase, I believe. Or maybe she's not even deprogramming because she's still into the end of times visionary crap.
Maybe.
So anyway, Nate then mentions her relationship with Tammy's family, because it's come out that Melanie has been in contact and connected to one person in Tammy's family, and we don't know who that is. And she said that it was healing. This person in Tammy's family supposedly said that it was healing for her to hear Melanie share her feelings and thoughts and things that have happened.
I don't buy that, because if someone murdered someone in my family, or, they said, well, they had to die to complete some sort of weird mission, I wouldn't find that, happy and healing. I would embrace that with anger and hate, someone did this because they have to, what mission? I want to know, was it one of her kids that's reaching out to her, or that's bought into this too, So then Nate asks about Melanie's podcast. It's you're a podcaster, right? And she says, yes, the podcast was my idea. And she also decided to write a book and wanted to do a podcast to share some of her own experiences with having basically a change of heart and the doctrine of Christ. Lori came in and joined later on. And the podcast was primarily Melanie Gibb, but Lori came on and joined for quite a few of them. And then Chad did as well. Now, Chad was on the podcast 2 times in person and 2 times on the phone. And then they had other occasional guests like Jason Mao and Melanie now Pulowski and others. Yeah, she said that there's a few of them that did it, and then Lori joined, I want to say. She said, towards the end. And then, yeah, Chad was on it a couple times.
Here's where we get into Crazy Train.
This is it?
All aboard the Crazy Train. Choo-choo, we're off now. Is Nate asks, what is the one thing you want people to remember about Melanie Gibb? And she laughed, and she was like, well, I actually don't want them to remember me at all. And she said, I didn't want to get known this way. If I am remembered, to the person who loved the group of people in trouble, to know that being deceived can be very dangerous. Listening to your own revelation and not people's is very important. Not letting people tell you what to do for your own journey, to really seek personal revelations yourself, and not putting your trust in flesh. She said, do not put your trust in the arm of flesh, and that's what everyone did. So it sounds normal enough, right? She starts to get a little bit biblical, and then how about, I want to be known as the person who came forward because kids are fucking missing, or
right. Well, yeah, the reason to be remembered was really silly, or not to be remembered, I guess. But yeah, she should be I'm the one that brought justice to this family.
Yeah,
or, something along those lines would have made more sense. But it is true, though. Like, you shouldn't be trusting everything in one person. Like, you need to make your own choices. And that's something that she needs to understand is, like, her and Lori both had choices in all of this. And every single thing that they didn't have to just go, okay, Chad knows everything.
Yeah.
You could have been like, this sounds weird. You know, like would you jump off a cliff if someone told you to? Like, this is weird. I probably shouldn't jump off this cliff like Chad did.
Right.
So then Melanie's asked if she had any interaction with Chad's family and what she would say to them. And she says no. She says she's feeling for their journey and she has no desire to say anything about people that's hurtful or you know, anything like that, just truthful. And that makes sense. But she does say she does care about Chad's kids, and so does Tammy. Like, yeah, I'm glad those kids are safe, but these kids are still following Chad too.
Right.
You know, like his kids are. And then she knows that the kids met Lori. And this is the part too that I was just like, this is nonsense. Lori had the kids over at her townhouse for cookies after Tammy's funeral.
Ugh.
And that, I know I already talked about it, but that just makes no sense to me. You know, while they're grieving for their dead mother, their father and their mother had been married for a long time. And then just, let's go to your new girlfriend's house?
And by all accounts, the children fell in love with Lori.
I don't understand. Like, my brain can't process that. That makes no sense. I don't understand any type of person that can just go, Mom's dead. Hey, new girlfriend, I love you.
Yeah.
No, that makes no sense to me. And then it's just like, too, what has he done to these kids? And I know they're not kids, they're adults now. But what did he do to them to make them just so, I don't know. I know how you've mentioned, too, like, she's in a better place or whatever. But, and they said that she was completing some weird mission. But I still feel like at the end of the day, they should be missing their mom.
Mm-hmm.
But Melanie says that she thinks Chad is a good guy. And she still likes him as a person, but his teachings are dangerous.
Oh.
And were you as mad about that statement as I was?
I raged. I was like, Chad is not a good guy. He's a piece of shit. He's not a good guy. He's evil. He's facilitated, most likely, the alleged murder of children and his own wife. Like, no.
I was like, he is not a good person. A good person does not allow children to die.
No.
Or anyone, honestly. Yeah, they don't allow anyone to die for stupid reasons. But kids, like, he was 7 at the time. Mm-hmm. How do you hurt a 7-year-old boy?
Yeah. So then Nate asks her what she would say to Chad if he's watching, which I'm actually dying to know. I wonder if Chad is in fact watching this because for some reason he's still walking around just fine as day. And Melanie says, I still care about you and Lori. I know what you're going through is painful, but God taught us to be honest. There's no exception to those rules. And then she goes on to say that she has peace speaking the truth. She says she's happy that they lied to police about it because it made her face it and realize that all of this was wrong.
No, it just gave her an exit route on the Lori freeway.
Exactly.
That's all it did.
It got her off the Lori freeway.
Yeah.
She says that her faith got stronger in a way that's changed forever. She says that she hopes that they realize that when we open the doors to darkness, they tell us things we want, but we are taught to bridle our passions, to be a zealot but not overzealous. She says that we have to learn how to have patience wanting nothing. And sometimes when we really want something, that's when we fall. Sometimes the answer is no, wait. Lori did not have patience. It led to a fatal attraction, unfortunately. And that was, in fact, a direct quote. She used the terms, it led to a fatal attraction. And she flattered Chad a lot. So
she did.
A lot. Like, great guy, wonderful, visionary, this, that, and the other. And some people are speculating. Now, was it self-preservation on her part for being so deceived and being embarrassed? Or was she doing it on purpose to try to have him kind of lean in and listen to her?
I don't know. I really think I didn't really get that from it. And I guess that's a possibility that I didn't think of. But I still think that she might still be a little scared. Because if he does deem her a zombie, and if she does believe in this, he could do his weird prayer and get her killed.
Well,
right?
also, lest we not forget that Chad is but one branch of a tree, supposedly. So,
there's more.
So we learn from one of the documents, if that document from Ian Pawlowski's computer is actually true, Chad and his little group of merry idiots is but one little branch of a larger tree of other groups and other areas, states, and so forth. So it is possible that she could be scared.
Yeah, and I do think, too, just, him leaning in to listen and maybe confess, I do think he might be the weakest link, though.
Oh, I know he's the weakest link.
Yeah, she would have confessed by now if she was going to.
Yeah, and she is not going to confess. I mean, she's not getting out of jail. She knows that no one can afford it. No one's going to put up her bail money, right? She is not going anywhere. She's going to go down with this entire ship. She's going to be singing until the very end. I do truly believe that Chad is going to be indicted and charged in the next couple weeks. This is just how my gut feeling. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I feel that Chad is going to be indicted and charged here in the upcoming weeks. And I feel like he is going to confess, but try to blame all of it on Alex. I believe that Probably. He's going to say that, yeah, all of this happened, but Alex committed the murders. And I believe that Lori is probably going to do the same thing.
Most likely, but I feel like they're going to be able to find the holes in it and realize that it wasn't just Alex.
I believe that they will, like with electronic communication and whatnot.
Well, right. I just feel like all of them are ultimately going to go down. They're not going to get out of anything.
I hope not. So Nate then asked Melanie, ultimately, what did Chad and Lori want? Did they want power, followers, money? What did they want? And Melanie says, well, it's very personal and I hate to share it out loud.
That was weird. Like, what is so personal about wanting, like she already says, like that they had this weird attraction and they like needed to be together and they wanted each other so badly and just... What? Like, how hard is it to say they wanted to start their own church? They wanted to have a bunch of followers. They wanted to be rich without kids. Yeah. What's so personal? I don't get that part. And like, what is she leaving out?
And she just doubled down on it was a fatal attraction. Again, she said fatal attraction. She said there was a lot of love between the two of them. They just could not wait to be together. And then Nate asked her about lust. Was lust involved? And she just said, yeah. So basically, Mr. Potato got himself
pretty blonde.
A new hot blonde, and they just wanted to throw away their families and children and be together.
But I don't understand Lori's side of it because hers was definitely a downgrade.
Yeah.
Like she had, I don't know if you've been seeing all like the memes and stuff online, but like her beautiful house with Charles in Arizona and, the pools and the trips to Hawaii and just all of this for Chad. And I have seen Chad's house. It's a pretty property. Like it's big, but it's not what she had here.
Because sometimes, I mean, I'm just talking about women in particular, right? I mean, if you look at all of these different cult leaders, even gurus, right? Like new age type of spirituality, a lot of women will fall in love with their guru or a cult leader just because they have charisma or personality or, Lori was deeply devoutly religious. So, and then here's Chad saying that his veil has lifted and he's an exalted one. And then don't forget too that he said that they were supposed to be that Lori was special. So, I mean, it's the classic pickup artist bullshit that he pulled, plus the added religious aspect.
Well, that, and maybe she is like a drama seeker and she had it too stable, like from all accounts that I understand about Charles is he was an overall good guy. They were pretty well off. And it seemed like they had a pretty happy family. Like even Colby, when he talks about Charles, he's only really said good things, right?
To my knowledge, yeah.
So I don't understand how you would leave all of that. And not saying just his, the stuff, but I mean like the way that it sounds and all the memes and everything are making the stuff.
Well, there
house to house.
There was in that police cam video, right, of Charles getting the police because the house was locked down. The police asked Charles, "How long has this been going on?" And Charles said 4 to 5 years.
Right, and just the amount of love that he had for her though. And how he says it over and over again, how much he loves this crazy woman. And then, nope, let's throw it all away. Let's go for Mr. Potato Head in the worst place in the world, No
offense.
for Arizonans. It is I can't do snow. And I know that she mentioned she didn't even want to go there. That is not my place. So just her leaving this great life with a loving husband to move to Idaho, which is an entirely different climate that I will say I am not a fan of. To live in... I mean, I guess I'm just assuming eventually move in with Chad. I just don't understand.
I don't get it either. But the interview is then closed. And Nate asks Melanie, what would you say to Lori? And this is the first time Melanie actually starts to tear up, like, immediately. And she says, we laughed a lot. I love her. I'm so sorry that she has been so deceived by Chad and that she has also been deceived by other people on the other side of the veil, pretending to be good when they are not. She got tricked. The same thing. When we want something really badly, we go into our heart. Christ always went forward in love. That was his whole mission. Their mission does not align with the one that would walk with Christ. I know you're suffering. I think of you every day in jail, alone, without Chad who loves you, who you love, alone, without Chad who you love. I know that's painful for you. I wish none of this happened. I have learned a great deal about deception, and now you have learned a greater deal about deception. I just hope that you can put aside a lot of what your wants are and be humble. He's a good God. He died for her too. There's still hope. That's what I would want to say to you. And then at that point, Melanie's crying.
So when she says they've been tricked and they've been deceived by other people on the other side of the veil, is she saying all of this is actually truthful? It's just the person on the other side of the veil that was the bad guy?
Yes.
That told them to do bad things, and then Chad's just listening blindly to the bad guy on the other side of the veil?
That's how I'm taking it.
Okay, well, as long as we agree.
Which, I mean, it's batshit, right? Like, I'm not the only one that wanted to slam down my headphones and be like, oh my God, use your logic.
Earlier, again, she said knowing things happening or something along those lines isn't the right thing to be doing.
Yep.
And yet she's just blaming the magic person on the other side of the magic mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then Nate kind of ends it with, do you think that she'll say where the kids are? And Melanie says it doesn't look like it with these beliefs. She mentions the conversation about how Lori had said again that if Chad was Satan, he was a really good one.
Ugh.
And it could be true. And he was doing and saying the right things. No, there's under no circumstance. And I think, it's just a mom thing. Just like, no one could talk you into hurting your children. That's so stupid that you would just, like blindly go to this weird portal man that says your child is a zombie.
Yeah.
It's just heartbreaking, and I'm so angry about it. And just the fact that they literally just got to go and honeymoon and have a great time. And those pictures are beautiful, and just all of this just so they could be together when there's other people too that were willing to take on these kids. And Tylee was almost 18.
Yep.
Like there's so many different avenues and better choices they could have made. And ultimately they just chose like the worst possible thing in the world.
Yeah.
And then Melanie's just like, I love them.
Chad's a great guy.
No, he's not a great guy, Melanie. I need to talk to Melanie.
It doesn't seem like Melanie's going to end this crap anytime soon because her new boyfriend's into the same stuff. So, hey, Melanie, I think you need to kind of take a moment to reevaluate your life, honey.
Agreed.
So that's it for our discussion of the Melanie Gibb interview. I know we went line by line, word for word, but I feel like we kind of had thoughts on everything.
Right. Yeah. And I wanted to hear someone else's thoughts too, just for us to discuss it and see if our interpretations were what some of the other people were thinking too. But if you have different interpretations on some of the things that she said, like I very much want to hear it. So either comment on YouTube or feel free to email us at wesawthedevil@gmail.com because I want to hear other people's thoughts.
And also know that when Amanda and I record this, we actually don't discuss anything before we sit down to record. So we don't know what the other one thinks, believes, how they perceived things, anything like that.
No, we try to go into a blind so we can have a discussion on it.
Exactly.
I think we agree most of the time, though, at least.
So that's it for this, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all the love and the comments, the conversations on Twitter and YouTube. And again, if you would not mind taking a moment out of your life, please leave us an iTunes review. It'll take just a second. You can do it from your phone. If you don't have an iPhone, you can do it from your PC. It would mean a lot.
Agreed. Yeah, we do read everything too. So just know when you do leave us comments, if we don't respond right away, we have read it. We do try to go back and circle back and respond to everyone, but there's a lot going on, and we're also trying to research so we can put out this information as well.
So that's it for this episode, guys. Until next crime.